Okay, so hi everyone. For the first lecture, we clean the data, and for this lecture, after cleaning the data, we will have some statistical tests for our data. Okay, so like the first lecture, you go to the Google and you search GitHub CP122, and you download the materials. Okay, here, and you extract the materials, and in the folder you will see CP122, and you slide the lecture 2, right? Okay, so we have the lecture 2, and you go to RStudio, open it. Okay, so we start with the test for our different kinds of data. So we have two kinds of variables. The first one is numeric variables, and the second is categorical. So how are they different from each other? For numeric variables, for example, like your score, your height, your weight. However, for categorical variables like your gender, male or female, like yes, no question, or agree or disagree. So we call it categorical variables. So because the characteristic of variables are different, so we have different tests for our variable as well. So as you can see, we have the probability test, right? What's the probability of the male student in the class, or what is the probability of yes question for yes answer for this question? Okay, and so we go to session, set working directory, we choose directory, and we choose CB122 again, right? Okay, and we open the second lecture, right? The lecture 2. Okay, so first we load the packages. Okay, because before running code, we need to have the package ready first. Okay, so we run the packages, and the second step is we need to have the data, right? So we prepare the data. Okay, so our data is this one. Okay, so let me show you. So just load the data first, okay? And you see, we have the data here, HSB, okay? So I will open it. And you can see this is the ID, the gender, the race, and the score, right? We have different score like reading score, writing score, math, science, and so on. Okay, so this is our data. And the next step is we check our data, right? Okay, so this one, we run the code. And you can see, yeah, we have different rows and column, right? Different characteristics of students in America, okay? And so it's summary, right? So if you want to summarize have a summary of your data, you can use this function, summary, and the name of the data, okay? So run it. So as you can see, we have a statistical summary, right? We have column 1, column 2, and so on. For each column, we have the mean, the first quantile, the median, the mean, and so on, right? Finally, the max, okay? So we have the statistical summary of our data. So next, okay, let me continue, okay? So the questions, so as I mentioned before, you see the column female, right? We have 1 and 0, 1 and 0, right? So 1 means that the gender is female, and 0 means that the gender is male, right? So we only have two possibilities. So we call it categorical variable. Okay. So we want to make some tests for this column. Okay, female column. So our question is, you can see here. Okay, let me show you. Yeah, so this is our test. We call it binomial test. Why? Binomial means we have two possibilities. Yeah, either 1 or 0, right? 1 means female and 0 means male. Okay, and the question is, does the female ratio is equal to 50% or not? Okay, so how can we test this one? Using R. Okay, so this is the test we're gonna use. We use the probability, right? Because it's a probability. What percentage of female in the data, right? Okay, so prop.test, and we choose the data. So the column we use is female, right? So we know the name of the column. So we type the name. Okay, HSP is the data. Female is the column, right? And sum means, yeah, we consider like we have 1 and 0. So when we sum it up, the number of female can be counted, right? And length means our total number, okay, including male and female. And P means the probability, right? Because we want to test whether it's equal to 50% or not. So this one is 0.5. So if we want to test it's equal to maybe 70% or not, so we change into 0.7, right? Okay, so in this case, we want to test P equal to 0.5, and then we run it. So how can we read the results? So as you can see, we also use what we learned in statistics to understand this information. Okay, so as you can see, the p-value, right, is 2.2293, right? Okay, so so that means the result is not significant, right? Because for the p-value, we compare with which number, 1%, 5%, or 10%, right? Okay, so as you can see, this value is much larger than 10% or 5% or 1%. So that's why the result is not significant. Okay, so the smaller the p-value is, the more significant the result is, right? And also you can see the t-value here. The also is very small. Okay, and this is the average. So we can say that the ratio is equal to 50%, and we do not reject the null hypothesis. Okay, we do not reject H0. Okay, so this is the test for the categorical data. So next, we're gonna test another kind of data. So that is numeric variable. So if we have numeric variable, for example, like the right score, okay, I can show you the right score here. Yeah, the right score, you can see it's the numeric, right? It can be like vary, right, with different values. So it's numeric variables, and we want to test whether the score equal to 50 or not. Okay, so because it is a numeric variable, so the test is different from categorical one. Okay, So here is the question, and I will show you the code. Okay, so here is the code. So we use t-test for numerical variables. Okay, and again, the data name, the name of the column we want to test, and the value we want to test. Okay, so for example, 50, 70, or 80, right? Okay, and we run it. So this is the t-test, right? And you can see the p-value again. So the smaller the p-value, the more significant the result is, right? So here you can see the p-value is very small, right? So this one equal to 0.00005, right? So it's very small and much smaller than 1%, 5%, or 10%. So the result is significant. So we reject the null hypothesis, right? And we can conclude that the writing score is very different from 50, okay? So we have two different tests, right? And we also have two different results. This one, we do not reject the H0, but for this one, we do reject the H0, okay? And so one more test. So for this one, we want to test the average score of writing